Hey everybody, so as promised, I'm gonna do my video on what I think they should do with a Star vs. the Forces of Evil sequel, especially after the announcement that Phineas and Ferb is coming back. Admittedly, my idea for what they should do with a future Star project doesn't differ very much from what I heard from discussions from fans both online and in person, but I'm going to try to string together these ideas in my own sort of way. So without further ado, let's get into this. So hey everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here. So following the announcement that Phineas and Ferb is coming back with 40 more episodes, it got me and others wondering if Star vs. the Forces of Evil could come back. And personally, I think that it is possible for the series to come back. Like a lot of other people, I think that finale, my feelings aside, has raised a lot of questions about, where it could go and things like that. And I think where it could go, where I agree with a lot of people on, is this idea that maybe this future series would star teenage versions of Meteora and Mariposa instead of Star Marco. And so I was thinking that maybe Mariposa and Meteora would grow up in this whole new world. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the Star vs. the Forces of Evil finale, where they grew up in this world that mixes Earth and Muni together. But because they're starting to get into their teenage years, maybe they find out some way that actually, once upon a time, Earth and Muni were separated, and that there was a time where Earth didn't have all these things. You couldn't easily access the land of the pony heads. It wasn't normal to have like a giant spider walking across your house and all this kind of stuff. So because they discover this, maybe they start to question, how did all this come to be? How did the world they live in, how did that get established? And as they're questioning that, I could see them being in a situation where maybe they're walking through the forest one day and they come across one of those glowing orbs. The unicorn that creates magic like the ones that Glossaric and Star have come across. And that could trigger the return of magic. And before I started filming this video, I even had this kind of idea that instead of one person like holding the royal magic wand and that kind of stuff, what if in this scenario both Meteora and Mariposa become like the possessors of this revitalization of magic? So it really got me, kind of questioning, what it could be like if magic returned. Would it be easier for these characters to access characters like Kelly, the Goblin dog truck, and things like that? So they trigger, the return of magic and being able to cast these spells. But because they do this, they inadvertently also bring back the return of the Magic High Commission, Romulus, Hecapoo, Omnitraxus Prime. And so they could easily serve as antagonists for this new series. Honestly, I feel like they would have made much better antagonists for the final season of Star compared to Mina. So it kind of becomes this battle where I could see something like Meteora and Mariposa want to use this magic in order to defend this new world from antagonists like the Magic High Commission, but the Magic High Commission wants to take this out as an opportunity to regain power and for things to go back to the way they were prior to Star destroying the magic in the Cleaved episode of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So it kind of is making me think that, maybe Meteora and Mariposa could trigger the return of magic, and that the Magic High Commission could serve as villains of this new story. And of course, I don't just see a future Star sequel just being a battle between these two sides. I could also, as if this were to especially become a series, I could also see them going into being able to access, other dimensions. What if it turns out that Star Marco never told Meteor and Mariposa about characters like Kelly? They don't know what the Bounce Lounge was. They don't know about Goblin Dogs. And of course, in a sequel, I think I would also like them to go through other dimensions dimensions. I mean, this could even be like a great opportunity for them to create, for the show creators to come up with all new ideas for dimensions that have never been seen before in comics or in the original Star vs. the Forces of Evil series itself. So I think this could serve as a really good launching pad for a future Star vs. the Forces of Evil series. As I was planning out how a future Star series could play out, admittedly the ideas got so extensive for me that I'm kind of thinking this may actually be too much for just a Star vs. the Forces of Evil movie, because I do think the most likely idea for a Star sequel series is I could see it returning as a movie on Disney Plus. But if they really want to explore the dimensions and not just make this like a battle between Meteora, Mariposa, and the Magic High Commission, I think this would be better off as a series, kind of like what they're doing with the Return of Phineas and Ferb. And there's now also a sequel series for the Proud Family on Disney Plus. So I think that there are plenty of ideas for a Star vs. the Forces of Evil sequel. What is the likelihood of this? I'm not really sure, especially considering just how successful Phineas and Ferb was. I mean, it had 4 seasons. They also released made-for-TV movies, one of which I even still remember got aired on ABC, not just Disney Channel. And that, especially in the post-ABC Kids era, that almost never happens with Disney Channel movies. And then there's also the fact that Perry the Platypus from Phineas and Ferb was one of the very few characters, one of the very few DTVA characters, I should say, that they used in those Tsum Tsum cartoons from back in the day, because in the Tsum Tsum cartoons they mostly stuck with like the very famous Disney characters, like I'm thinking Dumbo and Mickey Mouse, and Perry was like the one DTVA character in those cartoons. So it's clear to me that the reason they're bringing back Phineas and Ferb in some way, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a sequel series or if it's a continuation of the original show or what. But I think it's clear to me that it's because Phineas and Ferb had a lot of mainstream success. And I'm not really sure if it could be done with Star vs. the Forces of Evil. But the fact that they are planning to make more episodes of Phineas and Ferb, and that they brought back the Proud Family for a sequel series, I think those are all good signs that Star vs. the Forces of Evil could come back, especially, you know, since to this day it's still widely discussed show for all sorts of reasons, and it still has a very active fan base. In fact, if you didn't know this, that's why that's where I got the name of my channel, Blood Moon Bobby. It's named after the Blood Moon Ball that took place in the original Star vs. the Forces of Evil show. So I think if they used the teenage versions of Meteor and Mariposa as protagonists, it could really provide for a fresh start for this new series, especially for those who really dislike the finale of the original show. And admittedly, even though I do like Star overall as a series, I am one of those people that think that there were a couple plot holes that they should have resolved, and I was also not a fan of the finale. But I could see a sequel, either a sequel series or a movie, serving as a, you know, new launch point for a much improved story. What do you think of this idea for a Star vs. the Forces of Evil sequel show? Again, my opinions on what they should do doesn't really differ that much from what other fans have talked about and things like that. Like even the whole idea of bringing magic. I remember somebody on Twitter was talking to me and saying maybe it's not that magic is permanently destroyed, but it's moved back to like the beginning. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think the show should come back? And if it does, do you have your own ideas? Leave all those thoughts down below. And until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.